Cold open. Carey Mulligan? Oh, I'm loving this, man. All these great actors. Oh, oh. Some sort of message? Whoa. Whoa, is that her name? Well, that is an angel, right? Huh. Most interesting.
Your life could depend on this. Don't blink. Don't even blink. Blink and you're dead. They are fast. Don't look away and
Don't blink. That's the message. Whoa.
I love old things. They make me feel sad. What's good about sad? It's happy for deep people.
Bit of melancholy.
I'm looking for Sally's.
Whoa.
How did you know I'd be here?
I was told to bring this letter on this date at this exact time
Okay.
to Sally Sparrow.
Who's it from?
Well, that's a long story, actually.
Give me a name.
Catherine Wainwright. But she specified I should tell you that prior to marriage, she was called Kathy Nightingale.
Kathy?
Oh. She was tossed outside? Oh, not outside. This is long distance.
Please, you need to take this.
Where am I? I was in London.
Oh, right.
London.
You're in Hull.
Bit of time travel.
This is Hull.
No, it isn't.
You're in Hull.
I'm not in Hull. Stop saying
Look at his clothing.
Hull.
My grandmother, Catherine Costello Nightingale.
Yeah, she got
Don't have that in London. There's no
sent back in
corporate.
time.
It's all Hull.
Oh.
1920.
Oh my god, did she have to spend the rest of her life?
Related.
Sorry?
My Kathy, your grandmother, they're practically identical.
Where are you going?
Is this the person she's gonna end up marrying?
It has been mere minutes since we last spoke. For you. For me, it has been over 60
Jeez.
years.
I mean, you can understand her shock at this. Grab that key. Unless they're hoping that she grabs it, right?
I've loved a good man and been well loved in return. You would have liked Ben. He was the very first person I met in 1920.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
There's 17 DVDs. I thought you might be interested.
Yeah, you should have a look.
Yeah, great.
Go to the police, you stupid woman. Why does nobody ever just go to the police?
Because they're gonna think you're crazy. Don't blink. Oh, she blinked. And they're gone. Doctor said, don't blink.
I can't talk to you now. Got a thing I can't be late for. So if you could just. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, she is quite cute. TARDIS?
What's that?
Ah, the pride of the Wester Drumlins collection. Can't even get in it. Ordinary airlock.
Oh, the key!
Nothing fits. But that's not the big question.
Okay, what's the big
He's gonna flirt.
question?
Will you have a drink with me?
I'm sorry.
It's gone? Oh my god. Might not see him again. They need Sally to open it so they can get in, right? Don't blink, don't blink. And he is gonna blink. I suppose they need that split second as you blink to move.
Where am I?
1969. You've got the moon landing to look forward to. Fascinating race, the Weeping Angels. The only psychopaths in the universe to kill you nicely. No mess, no fuss, they just zap you into the past and let you live to death. The rest of your life used up and blown away in the blink of an eye. You die in the past, and in the present they consume the energy of all the days you might have had.
Ah.
All your stolen moments. And I'm sorry, Billy. I am very, very sorry. It's gonna take you a while.
Yeah. So he's gonna be much older now, right? Oh, hospital?
It was raining when we met.
It's the same rain.
Wow.
And what was the message?
Just this. Look at the list.
What does that mean? Is that it? Look at the list.
The DVD list.
Have it by now. A list of 17 DVDs. Got into publishing. Then video publishing. Then DVDs, of course.
Ah.
You put the Easter egg on.
There's only tonight. You told me all those years ago that we'll only meet again this one time.
Hmm.
On the night I die.
Oh, Billy.
It's kept me going. Life is long and you are hard. I have till the rain stops.
Wow. Wow, beautiful shot.
Very complicated.
I'm clever and I'm listening, and don't patronize me because people have died and I'm not happy.
Oh.
Tell me.
Look to your left.
What does he mean by look to your left? I've written tons about that.
Ah, right.
It's a political statement.
He's writing it down right now.
It's you.
Transcript.
Write in your bits. That way I've got a complete transcript of the whole conversation.
They're quantum locked. They don't exist when they're being observed. The
Ah.
seen by any other living creature, they freeze into rock.
So you blink and that gives him a chance.
They are fast, faster than you could believe. Don't turn your back. Don't look away, and don't blink.
That's a tall order, though.
You're not looking at the statue.
Neither are you.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah.
Keep looking at it.
No, he's gonna run for it.
Why is it pointing at the...
Oh, no. Oh. Look at this. This is new. Someone other than the doctor inside the TARDIS.
Security protocol 712.
Oh. Whoa.
I don't think we need to.
Yeah, something changed.
He tricked them. The doctor tricked them. They're looking at each other.
Oh.
Move again.
Sally. Can't you let it go?
Of course I can't let it go.
This is over.
How did the doctor know where to write those words on the wall?
Some things you never find out, and that's okay.
No, it isn't.
Someone had to get it ready. Oh, 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 there you go. Bow and arrow.
Oh my god, it's you. It really is you. Oh, you don't remember me, do you?
Complex life. Things don't always
Give it to him,
happen
give it to
in
him.
quite the right order.
Oh, for God's sake, it was me all along. You got it all from me.
Got what?
One day you're going to get stuck in 1969. Make sure you've got this with you.
He's like, that should be fun at some point. Sparrow and Nightingale, nicely done. Right then, that is quite good. That is quite fantastic, isn't it? It's on a brilliant run of 3 episodes now, back to back. So I'm getting a lot of good stuff here, a lot of good stuff. But yeah, that is just a brilliant, self-contained episode, right? A mini drama within just one episode. And again, the thing to note here is that it's one of those episodes that kind of sidelines the Doctor, right? He's not really the major focus of this. I mean, he's there. There's enough of the Doctor and Tennant in there, sprinkled in there throughout. And in the grand scheme of things, it also kind of gives the audience the sense that, okay, the situation is in control because the Doctor is kind of overlooking all of it, but still, from the sidelines. I think in Series 2, Love and Monsters, that was the one that kind of had the Doctor and Rose on the sidelines, right? Of course, that one is not comparable to this episode at all in terms of quality. I mean, this episode's an all-timer in that sense, top 3 easily. And I believe it's the same writer who did The Girl in the Fireplace, because, I remember a lot of things about that episode, and I remember the writer, Moffat, and I saw the same name here again. So yeah, man, he's got quite a track record, doesn't he? Now, I'm not sure if these are the only 2 he's done so far, but those are the 2 I've noticed his name in for sure. Now, once again, great writing, right? Great direction, great editing. I thought that was one of the standouts of this episode. Some effective editing. I thought it was one of the most memorable forces of antagonism or monsters in the show so far. Since I started the show, quite a unique take on the monster because it's not the usual, this alien race or this monster or this being that has one goal, to take over or destroy, right? It's usually that type of monster, but there's. Again, it's a mix of all these different things that make it such a fantastic standalone episode. Even the monster or the force of antagonism is so unique in that sense. And like I mentioned, great acting, and it had to be since the Doctor is sidelined, and of course, a young Carey Mulligan showed up. So that was almost a given that she. The moment I saw her pop up on screen in that cold open. And also the cold open itself really did set the tone, didn't it? Even though this is clearly before any of her breakout roles in films, in big films, you could still tell, it's Carey Mulligan. You could tell she's a notch above a lot of the actors they've had on the show, right? She's in the upper tier of actors they've had on the show, even at that age, even as a young actor. In that sense, I love that. This is happening quite a bit now, especially in this series 3. I'm getting to see a lot of young actors, a lot of young British actors or English actors, get their chance on Doctor Who. I saw Andrew Garfield earlier on in the season, Harry Lloyd, the actor who plays Jojen Reed, and now Carey Mulligan. So I love seeing this, and I'm sure I'm going to keep seeing this as the show progresses. More young English actors, perhaps getting a launching pad. So actors like Andrew Garfield and Carey Mulligan, I've seen them break out, or I've seen their breakout roles, and I've seen them in different films, right? And Carey Mulligan, I know from An Education, Drive, Inside Llewyn Davis, The Great Gatsby. So it's always cool to kind of go back and see them pop up in a Doctor Who episode. Always a pleasant surprise. And yeah, you could see Carey Mulligan. She carried it, didn't she? She had no problems carrying it. So she was certainly quite good in that role. And a bit of a tangent. As as you've surmised from my YouTube handle, FILMBuFF, I am a big fan of film. I have been for most of my life, actually. A long time now. It's one of my passions, a bit of an obsession, or has been for different parts of my life, or at different parts of my life. So I firmly believe that English actors or British actors are the best in the business. They really are. I firmly believe that. As far as I'm concerned, DDL, Daniel Day-Lewis is the best living actor on the planet. There's a plethora of them, so many amazing actors, and that goes for both film and television. So yeah, I'm a big fan of English actors. So it's always a nice surprise to see young British actors show up in Doctor Who. Now moving on to the forces of antagonism in this, or the monster, if you can even call them that in this sense, because like I said, they don't really fall into that typical monster mold, do they? And in that sense, I found I've actually found them most unsettling and terrifying before I even knew anything about them, before it was explained to the audience. Because, in that cold open and some of those earlier scenes, something's off here, right? And statues are just creepy to begin with, right? So, and, in addition to that, something is off here because they are drawing attention to these statues. And of course, the Doctor's message for Sally in the cold open, that again really heightened the intrigue. And then of course there's the whole aspect of don't blink, as the Doctor called them the kind assassins. But of course there's another reason for calling them the kind assassins. I'll get to that. But actually, before I even go any further, that final scene, was that just meant to be? I can't quite place that scene, the ending scene, the Doctor, that scene of the Doctor playing again on tape, telling the audience or telling Sally or whoever might be watching, don't blink. And they're showing different statues, right? I'm not sure if that is some sort of cliffhanger, or, it's not a cliffhanger, but it's perhaps leaving a bit of trail for a potential return of these statues, or this concept, or if it's just kind of in there, to bookend the episode. A stylistic choice. But yeah, the don't blink premise is so effective, right? It immediately brings the audience in as well, because the moment the Doctor tells them to don't blink, right? That puts in your head as the audience, right, that okay, let me try this, right? And the moment you're told not to blink, that's the moment it becomes even tougher, because now you are thinking about it, right? So it's a cool little position to put the audience in. I was certainly trying not to blink at certain points to put myself in the character's shoes, right, to see how long I could possibly last. But so it was a cool little technique, quite effective. And then because of that, there's this fear in the characters that, one wrong move and you're done. So it really brought in that sense of dread, right, and horror. And in that sense, you could even say, it certainly had elements of horror. It had sci-fi, time travel stuff, timey-wimey, ribbly-wobbly, he called it. Man, that was great. Now, the Doctor calling them kind assassins. This is one of the really unique things about this monster. They don't really kill you, right? They're not really here to take over the planet or the galaxy or destroy it, or destroy humanity. They feed on temporal energy, right? And that comes from displacing humans or people in time, right, in the past. And then they feed on that life that could have been, by making you live out a life that should not have been, right? So you get displaced in time. Now, both characters, in this case, the ones that were displaced, Sally and Billy, not Sally, Kathy and Billy, they both ended up living happy lives, right? And it wasn't, there might have been some sadness there. They made it clear to the audience that they're fine. They ended up having a happy life, and it's clear that's a choice they made, to make sure, to showcase that these two characters did end up having a happy life, right? They really made a point of depicting that. But that, okay, let's look at it beyond just this story. That's not always going to be the case, is it? Right? Being plucked up from your current life and tossed into some point in time, right, in the past, that's a scary prospect for a lot of people, right? It should be, actually. I mean, yeah, it has that sense of adventure about it, but imagine being plucked out of your life, never getting to see your friends or family ever again, and they don't know how, what happened. You just disappeared. They'll never know, right? And it's like this missing persons case that just goes on forever, unsolved case, right? That's if no one actually finds out about that, right? In the sense of this story, both characters kind of had explanations for it, right? Through the doctor. I mean, Billy was fortunate enough to have the doctor himself explain this to him, right? Now imagine if it was switched. What if Billy ended up in 1920? Right? It might have been a bit different, right? It might have been a totally different life for Billy as compared to Kathy in 1920. Yeah, and again, there's even an example of this in the past 2 episodes, right? Martha being stuck in that timeline. That was just 2 months, right? Of a timeline that she did not choose. She just kind of ended up there, right? A random timeline, right? So imagine Martha having to live the rest of her life in that setting, right, from that point on, and robbing that temporal energy or the rest of the lives of these displaced characters. I think that is best depicted in the scenes at the hospital, right? Billy and Sally. One of the standout scenes of this episode, and of course Carey Mulligan's acting is one of the standouts in this scene as well. It was clear, you could clearly see in this episode that Carey Mulligan has the acting chops, right? In that sense, she could have even made a fantastic companion, right? But again, she's destined for bigger things in film, perhaps. I thought it was a bit strange that they didn't really address, Kathy's brother's feelings on losing his sister forever. I mean, there was that initial scene, right, of Sally explaining it to him, but even that was more of a comedic tone about it, right? I feel like later on, maybe close to the ending of the episode, they could have even have a quick scene, right, even in that store, addressing this, because at some point he did get to find out that, yeah, she's gone forever, even though the audience knows that she is alive at that same point in time, but a different moment in time, but at the same time. I'll get into some of that in a bit, the past, present, future, all kind of happening at the same time, and the time travel aspect of this. Also, it was a bit of a different take on the time travel aspect in this, the rules, that is. More on that later, but yeah, I thought it was a bit strange that they didn't really touch up on that aspect again, because, yeah, he's not going to have any more contact, or essentially she is gone forever, right? He's never going to see her again. The only thing he can get some semblance of happiness out of, or ease, or be put at ease, is knowing that, yeah, she's alive at this moment in time, but at a different moment in time, but she is alive. And as she stated through these letters and the photos, she had a fantastic life, right? Like I said, they made sure to tell the audience, or show the audience that, yeah, they had a good life, happy life, even though they did get displaced. Now, before I move on to some of the time travel stuff, one of the nitpicks I had in this episode, and actually I suppose it's a bit of an ongoing thing now, is this notion that this, or a female character, needs to find a romantic connection at some point in the story, right? Did Sally's character really need to have that connection, that romantic connection by the end of the episode with Kathy's brother? And, even in this episode, a few scenes before that, you see Kathy's brother kind of has, in that year's time, he's grown quite a bit. He's the mature one here. He's telling he's telling Sally to kind of, let go of this. But she was smart not to, because, of course, she was the one who had to hand it off to the doctor in person, right, to set this in motion. That's another cool thing, right? It's like the chicken or the egg, or the inciting incident. Is this the inciting incident, right? Sally giving it to the doctor and setting this in motion, because then the doctor kind of has to show up at that mansion and then write the message there, right? And then and because of that, his TARDIS is there, and then they kind of get displaced in time, right? Martha and the doctor, that is. But then the opening of the episode is Sally going in there, right? But that is not the beginning of this loop, is it? So, a lot of cool stuff going on here. In terms of time travel and different moments in time, and if this is the trigger, if that's the trigger to this, the loop that is. But quickly circling back, Kathy's brother is like, oh, you might miss out on other important things if you don't get your head out of that stuff, and it's clear he's alluding to a potential relationship. So again, if I do have a nitpick, it's that I don't think these female characters always need to find some kind of romantic connection at some point in the story or by the end of the story. Like I said, I've been saying for a few episodes now, Martha's character doesn't suit that either. Her crazy infatuation with the Doctor. So one of the cool things about this episode, if I'm understanding it correctly, is that it's presented as time being predetermined, right, and fixed. Again, time travel, if you really put it under a microscope, I'm sure you can start getting some plot holes or some loose ends, but there's no need to really do that. But in this case, it is presented as a predetermined and fixed timeline. That notion of the ink being dry, everything that is meant to happen has already happened or is going to happen. Nothing can change that. So all of these characters kind of have to go through their predetermined parts, all right, for all of this to play out. And they do. All of them do go through their predetermined parts, right? The loop certainly plays out. Kathy was always going to end up in 1920, right? That was always going to happen because it was meant to happen. And it was one of the many things that needed to happen for this cycle to play out, right? And of course, her grandson shows up at the door, and he's got a letter, bit of a callback to Back to the Future, right? But in this sense, he showed up before Kathy actually got displaced, right? So that's one of the differences, I guess. But yeah, he didn't just manifest out of thin air, right? That's one of the reasons it's a predetermined and fixed timeline, because he clearly had a long life, looked to be in his 30s, 40s, clearly had some happy times with his grandma Kathy, who is upstairs at the moment, but also, again, that whole concept of time existing all at once, it's really cool, present, past, present, and future all existing at the same time or happening at the same time. Transcending temporality, right? That your past, present, and future is happening all at once, or exists all at once in space-time. So yeah, he clearly had a long life, right? He didn't just manifest out of thin air. So all of this was meant to happen and needed to happen for things to play out. So yeah, I thought it was a really cool use of that concept, that the past, present, and future is kind of playing out at the same time, and that every moment from your life is out there in space-time, right? And, there's a lot of cool moments like that, Kathy's grandson showing up at the door, even though she's upstairs at that moment, right? Then you have that moment of Billy realizing, oh, it's still raining. And Sally's like, oh, it's the same rain, right? And one of the reasons it was effective is because the time traveler himself, the Doctor, is also kind of displaced himself. So he's, there's no plot hole or loose end of him having his TARDIS to take Billy back to his timeline or take Kathy back to her timeline, right? It has to play out because even the Doctor himself is displaced at the time, and these things had to happen for this loop, right? Then that's about it for one of the standout episodes of the series, or the show actually, right up there, top 2, top 3. And much like The Girl in the Fireplace, it has that same quality, right? That it can stand on its own, right? A standalone episode or story that could be shown to anyone, really, right? You don't really need to know the lore or the history of the Doctor. You just need to know he is a time traveler, and they make that clear in this episode. So, and that the TARDIS is his time machine. Other than that, it's a great It's a great standalone episode. And you know, one of the scenes I really liked, and you know, the exposition of the delivery of the exposition. I thought it was such a great scene and delivery. You know, that conversation they're having inside the mansion as the Doctor and Sally are kind of communicating at different points in time or different moments in time because of a predetermined script, right? A transcript that Kathy's brother is preparing to their side. In terms of exposition, it's usually show don't tell, right? That's the golden rule. But in this case, it was built into the scene, so it was so effective, right? I really like that scene. But yeah, I think that's about it. Fantastic episode. That's 3 in a row now. Let's see if they can keep it going. And, you know, it's getting to the final few episodes of the series, of series 3. And, you know, the final 2 episodes at least are usually really good. So, yeah, this is quite a run. So if you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like. Consider leaving some comments. Give me your thoughts. If you are interested in early access or full length to this episode, consider checking out the Patreon page. And also consider subscribing to the channel. There is a schedule in place now, so there's a specific day for Doctor Who. So yeah, consider subscribing. I'm back for good. Right then, that's quite the episode. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope to see you soon. And thanks for joining me for this one. Take it easy.